We're coming towards a very special time of year, one of my favorite times of year, both on the Jewish calendar and the secular calendar, and this is the beginning of summer. We have Shavuot, we have graduations, we have Memorial Day weekend, and around here at Adat Shalom so far this month, we've had a lot of new energy. It's really very exciting. We've seen it, we've felt it. I want to take some time and acknowledge it. So earlier in the month of May, we had Family Shabbat. It's a new program this year. It's been the first Shabbat morning of every month. It's special programming for children to encourage families to attend. And at this particular Family Shabbat, attendance was way up. This was a great thing. And also earlier this month, we have our Dor Chadash program. It's a new program this year as well. It's a program of social events for teens to gather and be Jewish in a post-October 7th world. And we had an event the day after Family Shabbat, actually, and attendance was over double what was expected. And again, it was amazing. And then just last night, we had our monthly Shabbat dinner. This is a program we've had for a while now. We've had a little bit of a modified schedule new these past couple of years. Services at 6 p.m. in Newmark Hall and then dinner at 7. And here's the thing about last night that made me want to talk about this today. Someone came up to me at dinner and said to me, "Look around the room right now. There have been people that come up to me and tell me that synagogues are aging. The only people that show up are the people who are older and we're the young people. But look around the room tonight. That isn't the case here. You can't say that about us tonight." And so I stopped. I looked around the room. Of course, I had some awareness of who was there. We just came from services together. But I was struck by what this person said. So I stopped and I looked around the room as if I was doing so for the first time. I saw children from our religious school. They had wandered away from their parents to enjoy dinner together, of course, followed by a few rounds of chasing each other in circles around campus, only to regather on our social hall stage to run and cartwheel back and forth. So business as usual. I also saw the senior members of our community, those among us whose grandchildren are in high school and college and just getting married. And I saw those members of our community who are retired or recently retired entering a new chapter in life. Some have been members for years or decades. Some have joined recently, moving to the area to be closer to family or seeking community they'd been missing. And all were finding connection. All were finding friendship. And I saw young people, couples, singles, and parents. They sat together at the end of another week to share stories of adventures in career and parenting, adventures in dating and partnership. In a world that's fast-moving, ever-changing, and not always the most friendly, these young people, our young people, were there for one another over a Shabbat meal and to remember that they're not alone and that we're all going to find our way. This is us. This is who we are this Shabbat. This is who we are and who we're becoming as a community. Our parasha this week is Parashat Bamidbar. We're beginning a new book of the Torah, the book that tells the story of our journey through the wilderness on the way to our promised land. We've left slavery in Egypt, God having brought us out with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm. We're journeying toward the land that God promised us as an inheritance, but we are not yet there. The path forward is in one way very clear, yet in another way completely unknown. And our parasha begins with a census, with a count, an accounting of who we are. As we embark upon our journey, we want to know the extent of our might, our military strength, getting prepared for the confrontations with our enemies that we can reasonably expect. But just as importantly, we want to know who all is with us, so no one is left behind or left out, so we can all stay together. Knowing our strength, knowing our numbers, we can see how in the times of the Torah, this knowing and this counting was important to us. Now, of course, we know today this type of information is just as important. Somewhere in the middle of my rabbinic education, I first heard about the famous, infamous Pew Research study. I assume some or even most of us have heard about this before. The Pew Research Center, of course, has done a number of demographic studies on many things, including the Jewish community, and has found, forgive me, I'm about to really oversimplify here, things change over time. Things change over time. What Jews do now is not exactly the same as what Jews have done before. The needs, desires, and views of Jews who are young adults now are not an exact match to those of Jews who were young adults a few decades ago. When we mention this in an oversimplified and playful way, we can say, hey, what do you expect? But when we get into the weeds of what changes are happening, the changes can start to feel scary and alarming. we see something similar in the United States with religion in general. People's religious needs and religious affiliation continue to change over time. On the one hand, we know logically our world is a fast-moving place, things continue to change. But on the other hand, emotionally, we want that anchor to our past, to the world of our parents and grandparents, to the way things used to be, to what we remember from when we were small. On the one hand, we want our religious community, our Jewish community, to anchor us to our past. And on the other hand, we want our religious community, our Jewish community, to be responsive to our fast-moving world. All right, so we're acknowledging there's a little bit of a contradiction there, but this need and feeling, it's real and it's understandable. Any reasonable person in today's world looking for Jewish community wants both an anchor to the past and a responsiveness to the present. It's a little bit of a contradiction, but life is a little bit of a contradiction. And Jewish community, above all, exists to be part of life, exists to be a support in this confusing and delightful experience of life. So what is it exactly that we, that Adat Shalom, bring to the broader community? What is the product that we are selling, so to speak, that sets us apart from the rest? Or to put it another way, what is it about us that continues to bring new people through our doors? Younger people, older people, singles, couples, families. In this very real world of declining demographics and decreased affiliation across the board, Jewishly and religiously, why is it and how is it that we continue to enroll new students in our religious school? That we continue to welcome new members and new member families into our congregation? As I see it, there are three major factors. First, our size. Second, our religious orientation. And third, our political orientation. Now, these are not the only three, of course, there are others as well. But first and foremost, the size of our community sets us apart from other communities surrounding us. We all know LA is a big town with a lot going on. The dominant model for non-Orthodox synagogues in Los Angeles is large shul, many rabbis. Now, of course, there are benefits to this model, but there are drawbacks as well. When I first completed rabbinical school, as I'm sure I've mentioned to many of you, I moved to Seattle. I worked as a junior rabbi at a large synagogue there. And I learned one of the drawbacks of a multi-rabbi model is that people might not get the rabbi that they were hoping for. That the rabbi in the rotation to officiate your wedding or bar mitzvah maybe isn't your favorite rabbi on staff. In this smaller model, one shul, one rabbi, people know what and who they are getting. They can form a different sort of relationship. They can get to know me, and I can get to know them. It builds a whole different type of community. This type of community, this intimacy, not just with me, but with each other, is something that we offer uniquely in our neighborhood. Now, second is our religious orientation. For those of us who have been members for decades and seen things change over time, this one might not be so evident. But I am telling you, people who are shopping around for a synagogue are looking for this specifically, and people who come here want what we have to offer. Let me explain. On the one hand, we're traditional. We have full services, including Torah reading, every Shabbat morning, every Monday, every Thursday. We observe all the Jewish holidays, including 2 days of Yom Tov. We follow a complete liturgy, Birkot HaShachar, Psukei de Zimra, Shacharit Musaf. You don't have to know those technical terms to appreciate the experience of a full liturgy. You can just come and have the experience of a whole lot of Hebrew without any parts left out. Trust me, there are people who are looking for this, who want to attend a service that doesn't skip any stuff. Now, on the other hand, we're really not traditional. As one of our members recently told me, we are not your grandparents' synagogue. We have women on the bima having aliyot, reading Torah, leading services. We welcome and embrace all types of families, interfaith families. We welcome people who are gay, lesbian, transgender, any and every identity in the queer community. And this spirit of welcoming and openness didn't begin with my leadership. It was fully part of our fabric when I first came to Adat Shalom as a student rabbi 10 years ago. It's not actually that easy to find a Jewish community that is both as traditional as we are and as open as we are. There are other Jewish communities nearby that meet these criteria, but there are plenty that don't. We offer a religious orientation that is unique and desirable. Now, third and finally, our political orientation. In a world that continues to manage to be more volatile and more polarized every passing day, our community offers both unity and diversity. I spoke to someone on the phone just a few days ago who was calling from New Jersey. She has family in our local area and was exploring the Jewish community in our neighborhood. And she said to me, the reason why I called you is because it's important to us that you're a Zionist community. We have Israeli family, and this is deeply important to us. This core value, our Zionism, has been central to our community in the past, but has taken on a whole new level of relevance and meaning in the past 3 years. I'll share another story of another email conversation before last year's high holidays. It was from a not so traditional family that had been attending for a number of years a not so traditional Jewish community, but after October 7th, it was not working for them anymore. Both the grown-ups in this family had siblings and extended family in Israel. Their old community was not providing them the support that they needed, and they chose us as their new home. Now, you've heard me say this once, you'll hear me say this 1,000 times, we are a politically diverse community. Just last night at dinner, and this was funny, someone pointed out to me 2 different individuals in the room, saying that these 2 are politically polar opposites. This person was even a bit trepidatious of the concept that these 2 people might start talking to one another. And I responded, isn't it an amazing thing about Adat Shalom that there's room for both these people to be in this room at the same time, even if they're not making the choice right now to sit at the same table? This week we read Parashat Bamidbar, the parasha of our people's census as they set out on an adventure towards the future. This week and this year, let's take a look at our community, at ourselves, and take note of our unique qualities and strengths that we bring to the Jewish community around us. Let's remember the special things about us that give us value and make us count. Shabbat Shalom.